I'm going to just adjust the screen because you might be blinded by lights here. How's that, everyone? Sorry, couldn't get on. Right, where's the camera? There you are. We'll get there eventually, right? I've been really looking forward to doing this live stream today because it's about one of my favourite subjects. So I'm going to try and just set up with the chats and make sure I can tell everyone we're live and all the rest of it. Yay, can you hear me first of all? Right, hold on. Yay, okay, good. Right, so first of all, I'm just going to tell everyone we're live and then that will be that. So if in the meantime, if anyone is brave enough to sort of ask any questions, my camera is on the side of this thing. So if I wander off in the wrong direction, please forgive me. Right, I'm just going to say we're live. Okay, cool, right, so switch everything off so it doesn't make a noise and there's no more interference. 11 past the hour, my favourite time. Always the one that I catch. Right, okay. Sorry for this beam of light coming through as well for the spotlight. So, depression. I've got no notes, it's fine. Did it stop? Yeah, we're good. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at tech. Right, okay. So, I'm just going to start by saying that if you've watched us before, if you've watched anything on the Galactic Light Centre with me and Archeia Rose, you would have heard us talk about Get the Gift before. Now, I'm going to start this one by reverse engineering Get the Gift. And so I have had a form of depression in my life, and actually I've almost had almost every form there is, I think. And I found ways, or I knew ways to beat it, and it worked. So this is what I'm here to talk about today, because depression is what I like to call, it's like the lost soul disease. It's the disease that, and it is a disease, it's either a chemical, emotional, or spiritual kind of situation. And depression, in my mind, is one of the worst things you can go through, aside from physical pain. It is, I think, describing it as in the lost soul disease is, or the lost connection disease is really, really fitting actually, because you feel such despair. You feel that even if everything's going right in your life, technically, you feel nothing. You feel flat. You feel, and way more than that actually, you feel empty, gone, spent. You almost feel dead inside, I think. And I think the majority of people touch on depression in their life in some way or another. I've had times where I thought my mind, I was literally going insane. My brain felt like it was scrambled eggs. My husband might still say that. But most of the time we feel sane, even if we're stressed, right? But this felt different. This was like, this felt scary. It was scary. And it wasn't until I was 20 that I found the first way of fixing depression. So I was self-diagnosed with a seasonal affective disorder when I was 21 years old. I'd been suffering from it quite severely as a teenager, but I was quite an introverted character in some ways, so I don't think it got picked up. I certainly had never heard of it before, and it took until I was 21 years old and I heard some people chatting about a guy who sleeps with the light on, and I was thinking, that's a bit strange, why would you do that? And they said, oh, you know, because he's got that sad thing. And I was like, what's that? And they said, oh, it's I think seasonal affective disorder. And it was like somebody had just pointed a big finger at me and put the light on. I knew that that's what I'd been suffering from. Just hearing I didn't even know really what those words meant. I'd never heard of this situation before, ever. But I knew that's what I had, because I wasn't the sort of person who hated winter. I was quite an outdoorsy type. I was out in all weathers, and it never really bothered me as long as I was dressed right. It didn't bother me. I didn't moan about cloudy grey days or anything like that. But when it came to winter, and my birthday is in the wintertime, and it would just hit before my birthday started, I remember I would feel numb most birthdays. I was just void. It was weird. It was horrible. I couldn't say anything at the time was going wrong. And it was crap, to put it another word. And I had discovered a book that I give so much credit to for changing my life and helping me really get to working with other people and helping change their life. It's a very famous book. And I do encourage people, if they haven't read it, just read it. If your interest is piqued, just read it. It is not what you expect, unless somebody has read it and they're telling you about it. For me, I found out about it in a magazine. No one had told me about this book, so I judged it badly on the title of it. And there's a lovely little story about that. I keep saying I'll tell that story, and maybe I will, but I don't think today's the right time. Anyway, and it's called Conversation with God, and it was book 1. And I had run away from God and religion. I didn't like it. It didn't gel with me. So I was in the other direction, or rather just godless. I was godless. I kind of believed in the world, but not in anything in particular in terms of the God thing. And in this book, it essentially helped me learn how to manifest by saying, if you want something, thank for it. Because if you think of it from a scientific point of view, you are thanking for something means you've already received it. If you say please, 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 energetically you are acknowledging the lack of something. So if you want something, this is why we always say thank you for, not please can I have. Even though that kind of works too, it depends. But if you really want to manifest, I definitely, and this is maybe why I've been so good in the manifesting, is I always say, with heartfelt gratitude, thank you for. So the first depression I fixed myself was, and I fixed all of them without medication, and I fixed all of them within the longest time was 2 days, and the shortest time was 10 minutes. And my husband was sitting right next to me at the time, and he can be a witness to that. So this time I remembered the book that I had read that made such an impact on me. 9 months after I had discovered what this seasonal affective disorder thing was, I felt it creeping up. I recognised it. In November, late November, I was standing on the train station going to work, and it was like a grey cloud had just washed over me and left me feeling like a grey cloud. And I realised what it was. For the first time, I could realise what was happening, rather than just be sunk and lost into this thing. And I remember thanking my arse off, like my life depended on it, because my life did depend on it, actually. And I said, thank you for every sentence you could possibly imagine that equaled me feeling better. Thank you for this going away. Thank you for me feeling better. Thank you for me being happy. Thank you for me not having this anymore, even though you're not meant to do that because it's a negative. And we always say thank for something in the positive. Use a positive terminology. And I thanked for 2 days. And at the end of 2 days, I realised I felt okay. And hand on my heart, I have not had to deal with that since. And I am into my 40s, shall we say. Well into my 40s now. And yeah, It's gone. It's been gone forever since that day. Somebody just said, what's your take on medication? I've always used natural remedies as much as possible. It's the first place I look. And after doing the work I do, I 100% believe that, and I might let you into a very personal little story that's current at the moment, just to prove this, just to prove the weight of this. I believe that if you fix up your inner world, your health will shine on the outer world. And if you're born with a condition like a disfigurement, you may not be able to change, for example, in fact, I do know of people who've changed their bone structure, who've had bone healing for their bone structure, and they have walked in on crutches or in a wheelchair and they've walked out again upright. I do know of those stories. And, you know, when they call it faith healing, it is because if you have belief that you can heal, I absolutely believe you can heal. I absolutely do. Now, I'm quite a moly person. Can't really tell. I'm quite a moly person, and I've had some itching on my back for a while now. It's getting worse. And I have quite a lot of moles on my back. And I am a little bit expecting, but without fear, that these itchy moles may be the more sinister of what you would associate with itchy moles. And this brings me back to getting the gift in reverse engineering, getting the gift. If I hadn't have been through all of these forms of depression, I'll tell you the other stories in a minute, I would not be able to sit here and do this. I would not be able to sit here and say to you guys, I have 3 cures for depression and 2 cures for cancer. Now, I'm not a doctor. This does not constitute medical advice and all that jazz. I am a spiritual healer. I'm an emotional healer. I am somebody who can give you my personal stories. Take it as you will. And so if I do find that the itchiness on my back for my moles is the C word, I am actually, I think I will have a little smile on my face, because I believe this will be an opportunity for me to prove to people how to get rid of it. And I've kind of brought this on, I think, because I've thought about it in the past. Being so moly, it crosses your mind. And I've thought, well, if I do it, then I'll do it naturally, and I'll be just one of people, because there have been many people who've fought this disease naturally. And I can prove maybe the power of the mind over your health. But obviously I'm really exposing my mind and my world to you now. Who knows what could happen, right? But if it does turn out to be that, then that will be a gift as well. So this is what we say about get the gift. Take the scenario you're in, and if you can learn to perceive it in the most miraculous of ways, make it a miracle, or see what miracle can come from this situation. So the big C would fill many people with dread. Many of my loved ones have died from it. But that doesn't mean to say there is no cure. And in fact, while we're talking about the big C, there are, and I will leave this in the description afterwards, I'll come back and tell you of products I've personally worked with and have heard of incredible cures of tumours dropping out, albeit on animals. But actually, I have had personal experience with this on my animals as well. And it's a topical lotion that you can also ingest. It's a natural zeolite. I'm not going to try and say it, but it's something like clip to top something or other. Very long word. And it's a volcanic rock that's powdered up, and it's a detoxify. It's the only substance, I believe, that can penetrate the blood-brain barrier and remove heavy metal toxins and pollutants, which I know for a fact inhibit the body, because with one of my animals I was feeding them very, very good nutrients to make them seem healthy, and their coat just looked dull and awful. And I was like, how's this possible? I used this product. I used a few drops for 10 days and his coat just bloomed, absolutely bloomed. So I knew it had cleared the heavy metal blockage that was stopping his body using the nutrients. So that's something I'll put links in the description when this video goes back up. But getting back to the depression thing, so the first one was the seasonal affective disorder. It took 2 days. It actually, I don't think it even took 2 days. It's just, I remember thanking him for 2 days. I was 21 at the time, so it was a while ago. And it has never been back since. Now, when I was pregnant, I was pregnant quite late in my life. My first pregnancy was a little girl, no depression. My second pregnancy that I unfortunately lost at 3 months was a boy. And it seems like when I'm pregnant with boys, I get depression. And I remember trying to work with my husband, and I had to stop and say, I have to stop, hold on, I feel terrible, I can't function. And I remembered something and I tried it. And in fact, no, I'm lying to you. I had a spot of depression while I don't think I was pregnant though, but anyway, it was before this. And I had remembered about my chakras. And before then, I was never someone to really do anything about them. I knew about them, but I never really did anything about them. A little bit of clearing here and there. And the way I visualize clearing chakras is to see them spinning like Catherine wheels. And I almost have this imaginary power tool that like zooms in on them and speeds them up like a power tool. And then I go on to the next one, so I'll do it really quickly. And I had done my lower 3. So you start at the base of your spine, which is called the root chakra, I believe. I'm not even going to claim to know all the chakra names, but I think I know most of them, but correct me if I'm wrong. But it was the bottom 3, so it was what's known as the sacral, or the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the stomach chakra, I believe. And within 10 minutes of doing those, I felt the depression had stopped. Yeah, this was postnatal depression, if I remember, with my little girl, that's right. But I didn't have it that badly, but I still had it. And any depression is bad, right? So I remember thinking, wow, I've not even finished them and I feel better. And I do find that whenever I'm clearing now my chakras on my kids, it's always the base 3. It's always the base 3. And that's when I'm doing sort of like illnesses for them, like colds, viruses, that sort of thing. So any chakra experts out there, please leave some comments, because I'd love to hear them on that. What else is there? So then I noticed the really bad depression when I had the second pregnancy, and that was, again, I just stopped. I cleared my chakras. My husband's sitting right next to me watching me going, what are you doing? Like, probably thinking, what's she doing? And it took 10 minutes. Excuse me. And I literally said to him, right, I can carry on now. And we did. We just carried on working. That was incredible. 10 minutes. And then when I had my son, pregnant again with him, got the depression again, chakras again, fixed up. And again, just once, just did it once. That was it. That worked. Now, after I had the 2 kiddies, I had a partial breakdown. And I knew it was a partial breakdown because I realised that only part of me felt like it was breaking down. And I drove to see a good friend of mine who's an osteopath and have a treatment and take a bit of me time. And I drove home from that And intuitively, I knew to look to my inner child. And if anyone doesn't know what that is, this is the child version of you that is still in your memory. But you see them in the current moment. So it's not looking at you in the past, it's just looking at younger you. So we call it your inner child. You can have your inner elder as well. You can have your super you, which is your higher self embodied at any point of your life, which is an incredible, powerfully tool that we use. Incredibly powerful tool that we use even. So where am I? Yeah, I intuitively knew to go to my inner child, and I just was like, what do you need? And I knew she needed a hug. She just needed a genuine, loving, unconditional, loving hug. And I felt something heal inside me. I felt myself mend. I felt the opposite to heartbreak. I felt my heart make. It was incredible. And again, 10 minutes later, I felt fine. I went home. And that never came back. It was dealt with. Any emotional issues that were rooted there were fixed. In my inner world, they were fixed. So I've had the last sort of depression I've had has been general mood depression, which is where we talk about the 6 human needs and what some people call the crazy 8, or what we most commonly understand it to be is being triggered when something upsets you, when something makes you lose your rag, get angry, get sad, whatever it is. Now, when you feel out of control, this is the model. It's very easy to learn. You'll see it, and you will see it probably happen in your life almost daily in some form or another, and you can really use it to gauge how well you're doing, especially on this spiritual path. If anyone is particularly keen on the ascension and their growth through the ascension and their progress, this is a really good meter to use. So if you are triggered, which means if you get upset, if you feel upset for anything, any reason at all, you will fall into this loop that can last forever. It's why we call it the crazy 8. It's like the infinity sign on its side, and it will go through 2 major emotions. First one is anger. And if you're a man, you may well, or if you're very masculine in your energy, you may well go there first. This would indicate that the cause of your upset is probably lies in the area of being significant or insignificant. And if you go into the sadness, the other major emotion will be sad, lonely, depressed. All that sort of introvert, negative, nasty feelings. And if you go there, it's because you need connection, or you're lacking connection, which is great. Newsflash, this is how you fix depression of this nature. You need to connect with someone, something, someplace, which is great because you just need to find something to connect with. And it could be someone to talk to. It could be a method, journaling, writing your situation down on a piece of paper or in a diary, and trying to give yourself what the solution is. That's really powerful. Finding a method that helps you connect. You might need to go somewhere, and this is what I would do. I would go to somewhere I was really happy when I was younger. It was a place in the countryside that I could travel to quite easily, and it was just open to countryside, so I wasn't sort of going on anyone else's property, so I could go there quite freely. And I would find a little place to settle down and just get lost in the countryside. and it would really help me. So I would connect with nature, and I would reminisce about my happy times, and it just was what I needed to be okay again, until I could make that reconnection a more permanent thing. So yeah, I think I've been through. So the reason why the first incidents when I had the seasonal affective disorder, that's a chemical imbalance. It's when your brain doesn't produce enough serotonin, which is your feel good hormone, because of a lack of vitamin D, or a lack of daylight, or UV, or whatever it is. It is a lack of daylight, essentially. And this is why you get people that sleep with lamps on and that can mimic sunrise and stuff. I've never used one. I'm sure they work because there seems to be many of them, and I've never heard that they don't work, but I can't tell from personal experience if they work or not. But setting your intent, which is what I did to get rid of that depression, which is thank you for, and insert the outcome. And you just need to be open to it. You need to be able to have enough faith to give this method a chance to work. And you need to be able to be fair in your judgment of the results. They've all worked so spectacularly for me. It feels like, there's a very big difference from having a bad day to being depressed, I feel. A very big difference. Because as soon as the things that are going on in the bad day are over, and you relax, or you can regroup, or whatever it is, that horrible feeling can go. Whereas depression, it doesn't go. It just seems to get worse. And definitely that focus on the self and that negative self-talk, the negative body positioning, that huddling up, going inside, can really feed that depression. So it's really important, if you can, and I would go as far as say force yourself to smile, put a comedy on, stand in front of the mirror and smile, even if you feel ridiculous, but it does work. Forcing a smile on your face does help. It might not get rid of it completely, but it helps. Find someone to talk to if you can, but look to connect. Set your intent, look to connect, reset your chakras. If you are on medication, I would look, if it was me personally, I would look to get off any unnatural medication at the earliest possible opportunity, and you'll know what that is. And here is a great method, I believe, my personal opinion, is the pendulum of muscle testing is brilliant for medical dosing. If you know all of the options, I would even leave another option that said keep looking, or research more, or something like that. And your answers will only be as good as your questioning on the pendulum. You can write a chart. There's many videos, many people doing it on YouTube, and you can just see what they're doing and how they're doing it. I write a very simple sort of half circle. I can have a horizontal and a vertical axis, and I'll have a yes and no on that, or I have a 0 to 100%, or the options, or whatever it is. And I will keep asking questions until I am absolutely sure, until I've had as much information as if I could expect to go to a doctor or a consultant on something and give me, dosage and medication. It could be that you might be able to replace any of your pharma drugs for natural things. I'm a big believer in herbology and plants as medicines. You'd have to find yourself a very reputable one. I do have somebody I use who I could maybe put you in the direction of. So generally I would say that pharmaceutical drugs I know that they are always enzyme inhibitors, and I know that because a lady who is a natural doctor started off studying to become a doctor, and this was one of the first things they learned apparently, and she was horrified, but she said, well, hang on, we need enzymes in our body to help us function. Why are we inhibiting these enzymes? And she was kind of basically told, shut up and listen or get out. So she made her choice, and I think she's become an extremely successful doctor using natural substances, shall we say. So that's just my personal opinion. I believe that you can't beat nature, and you can find a remedy for most things in it. But definitely starting with the inner peace work is going to give you phenomenal results. I do encourage everyone to, you know, we should reset our chakras daily. Certainly when my children have temperatures, first thing I do is reset their chakras. I don't even need to be in the same room as them to do it either. Energy, thought energy is very, very powerful. It's your manifesting energy. You do not have to touch anyone to give them or send them healing. It's just energy transfer. And I find that their temperatures are brought down within 10 to 15 minutes of resetting their chakras. I also do a spinal flush. There is a fantastic book called Energy Medicine by Donna Eden, and I believe you can get it on Kindle. That she has a women's one as well for, you know, lady issues. Big chapter added to lady issues. She has some phenomenal stories on how that sort of work has actually saved a life. Somebody got hit by a coach on a bicycle or something, and they should have died, but she happened to be there, and she happened to know exactly what to do to stop them, and the doctors were amazed that this person was still alive after the accident. So there is an awful lot of wonderful knowledge out there that I would urge you to look into. But as far as depression is concerned, your chakras, setting your intent, and connection to anything you find relief in, while also looking at how you can get the gift from the situation, will be incredibly powerful remedies for you. And if you have any questions about that, then, you know, we're at 5DJourney.org. We are on 5DJourney on Telegram, and yeah, you can get hold of us quite easily. So any other questions from anyone before I sign off? Thank you very much for your patience with this, the tech little hiccup earlier on. And yeah, hopefully you found that information interesting, and we'll hear from you soon, and we'll be back on Sunday with our fantastic duo live stream with Archeia Rose and myself, and we look forward to seeing you then. Lots of love. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.